Welcome to It Is Not Empty. Today, we will be talking about Rosalind Franklin, who made great strides in coal, virology, and DNA. Sadly, just as notable as her work was how she was treated by the scientific community. Our story begins as Rosalind Franklin enters King's College in 1951. At this point, Franklin was many years into her academic career. She was armed with skill in X-ray crystallography, a technique she would pioneer, a skill that would define her life. X-ray crystallography is the process of shooting X-rays through a molecule that has been crystallized. This is much like a molecular scale version of an X-ray. This allows for incredible images that detail the intricate structures of complex molecules. She began work at King's College as a member of the Medical Research Council's Biophysics Unit. Upon her arrival, the biologist currently manning the X-ray crystallographer, Maurice Wilkins, assumed Franklin was his new assistant. In reality, she was taking over his position. Naturally, this led to a sour relationship throughout her time there.
Unfortunately, Rosalind and myself, we didn't manage to work together.
Not helping this situation was how in the 50s, women scientists weren't even allowed to eat in the university's dining rooms. She worked with student Raymond Gosling and captured the astounding Photo 51. It is considered one of the most important photos ever taken. It showcases roughly the double helix structure of DNA. Rosalind gathered remarkable amounts of data from this image, as well as from other aspects of her DNA study. Still, the exact structure of DNA wasn't clear. Meanwhile, James Watson and Francis Crick were close to truly understanding the chemical structure of DNA. Previously, they had asked Rosalind for her feedback, but she responded by explaining that their model simply couldn't be right. So, Watson and Crick toiled, and they were soon to receive some much-needed data. That data was Rosalind Franklin's, but it was provided without her knowledge or permission. How exactly they obtained the data is uncertain. By using it, along with their own, Watson and Crick determined the structure of DNA and published their findings immediately. Franklin and Gosling's findings and Watson and Crick's findings were published separately in the same issue of Nature. The only problem? Watson and Crick provided no accreditation to Franklin or Gosling. This likely was not done with malice, but it certainly was done with negligence. Watson and Crick had to have known the data came from somewhere other than them, yet no credit was given. In fact, James Watson even attended a lecture in which Franklin publicly relayed her image and data to the crowd. Apparently, he just wasn't paying attention. What's worse, however, was that there was no blowback from the scientific community at the time, despite them blatantly not crediting the work done by another researcher. Instead, Watson and Crick received the Nobel Prize for their discovery. Franklin, meanwhile, received nothing. Let us consider the way Rosalind was treated around this time. Watson referred to her as Rosie instead of Rosalind, against her wishes. He explained she prevented Wilkins from, quote, maintaining a dominant position in the lab, that she needed to be put in her place. Watson wrote in regards to her, quote, the best home for a feminist was in another person's lab. In his autobiography, he waxes about how pretty Rosalind could have been if she had only dressed up more. Crick, meanwhile, admitted to them having a, quote, patronizing attitude towards her. Such comments are indicative of the pervasive sexism in the scientific community at the time. Just how much sexism factored into Watson and Crick not crediting Franklin is up for debate. There's no doubt, however, that Franklin received loads of discrimination throughout her life. Even her father didn't think women had a place in academia. Rosalind Franklin suffered and likely died for her research. Only 7 years after arriving at King's College, Franklin died of ovarian cancer. Some speculate this was due to the radiation she routinely received doing X-ray crystallography work. Today, the Rosalind Franklin Society bears her name, a nonprofit dedicated to showcase and support eminent scientists who are women. While Rosalind's work helped discover many vital things, perhaps most of all, it highlighted the need for women in science to always be given the credit they deserve.